How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Pixelated Thoughts, and it is only Brad and I today. The other two bums were sick or something, but
No. I fired Jack when he didn't pick Final Fantasy 9. So.
that's true. We bumped his ass on down the road. You'll see Jack on the street somewhere. So today we're going to talk about some news, and this is something that we normally don't do, but I would say, when did we do the Overwatch episode? It was last year, right? We did the Overwatch 2 episode. When the game first came out, and we all said that it was like Overwatch 1.5. Well, Blizzard on May 16th said that they are dropping the PvE from Overwatch 2, which has not been well received at all by the community. Brad, what the fuck are they doing? Oh shit. Yeah.
They're going where the money is. I think they're realizing the effort that it takes to make quality PvP content, PvE content, creating like actual immersive quality single player content, right? If you're not going to invest somewhat like Destiny, right? If you're not going to go all the way, right? Splitting effort on both fronts, I think they're just like, it's not going to be worth the money investment.
I mean, the crazy thing to me is that you tweeted about it, and Brad is not even active on Twitter. I was the only way I knew about it. I logged in yesterday, and I was like, what the hell is Brad mad about? And then I see that PvE got dropped, and I immediately just started going through Twitter, through social media, through YouTube. Nobody's happy. And a lot of people are like, the whole reason for Overwatch 2, especially when it was first announced at BlizzCon, I think 4 years ago, was that we were going to get a campaign mode, and there were going to be skill trees for these characters. And that was really the big draw. That was the main reason you would have an Overwatch 2. And Activision Blizzard, for whatever reason, made the decision to pull out. And here's the thing. I am generally okay if you have to make decisions during development because you do not have the resources. If you're going to fucking tell me that Activision Blizzard, as big as they are, do not have the resources to support one of its main IPs, what the fuck are we talking about here? What really frustrated me was that when they showed off the footage at BlizzCon, they were showing off some really cool stuff. They were showing off like how like you could do damage to particular parts of the robots and stuff like that. How like there were certain techniques that would combine with one another. People were genuinely hyped, and I just found it suspicious just a bit when they started talking about the Overwatch 2 beta, and they rarely mentioned anything about PvE. Now they said it was still coming, and I think it was supposed to come next month, right? That was like the proposed date on the roadmap. So how fucking ballsy is it by Blizzard to pretty much go, yeah, so we're not doing that anymore. It just defeats the purpose of Overwatch 2. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I think the reason for Overwatch 2 was so they could go free to play, and then they could do the monetization. I think they're trying to get away from their loot boxes. I honestly think they were trying to go for a heavier I'm getting so angry, I'm shaking the camera. Going away from the dollar loot box situation where they can sell $30 skins.
Oh god. And these skins are overpriced. The microtransactions in Overwatch 2 are bad. I don't think they're Valorant bad, but they might be close. Right, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think it's now I think they utilized the fact that Overwatch has so much potential for stories and background and like narrative that they were like, we can milk this as much as we want to and not actually provide anything, because we've never provided anything other than 5-minute shorts and these like seasonal
events. Yeah.
Well, event type things instead of like substantial content.
I fucking hate Rainbow Six Extraction, but I'm glad that Ubisoft actually tried. You know what I mean? I mean, it should have been like an attachment to the base game. But here's the thing. if you were going free to play, if your intent was always to go free to play, that's completely fine. There are games that have done that. Halo Infinite was free to play, or is it has a free to play multiplayer mode, and the campaign, if you don't have Game Pass, is by itself is its own solo thing, and you have to pay for it. If you had, like, I'm telling you, people would have probably paid and been okay with it for Overwatch 2's campaign, depending, and it was supposed to be kind of like a live service edition as well, because you're going to have, you know I assume seasonal things to play against, seasonal campaigns, which would have been amazing. But instead we're kind of left, like, you have the entire community left holding the bag, and Blizzard being like, well, I'm just going to march right to the left. Like, dude, Blizzard has had so many fucking just poor PR spots. They had the Diablo Immortal thing. I I just I don't get it, man. You have essentially one of
That should
the
have been my retort. Dang it.
yeah,
That should have been my retort. You have a phone, don't you?
you have a phone, don't you? Like, I'm shocked that Blizzard. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, honestly. It was kind of suspicious that Overwatch 2 went into beta very quickly, and then it was immediately released, and we were just like, oh, okay, cool, man. You're introducing new characters. You have pretty much retooled almost every character in the game. You've got some new maps. It feels like you didn't have to do all this. I mentioned before in our podcast episode about Overwatch 2 that essentially you just reskinned Overwatch. That's all you did. You didn't do anything else. And
I don't think it was really a reskin. It was just it was more
that
of like a touch up. It
yeah.
was like they
It,
just spray painted.
yeah, it was kind of like what Siege did, when they kind of like they actually did a visual overhaul, or just like touched up the graphics a bit. That's all it really was. And then you have all these, you're introducing new characters that are hidden behind the battle pass. I mean, they were like, yeah, Kimiko is available if you play the game now, but everyone after that is like 40 levels into the battle pass, or you can pay. I think it's like $20 plus whatever it is to get there, to boost you there. That is insanely greedy, and it's something that I think a lot of people should have seen coming, but because the devs never really forgot about the PV, or never really mentioned it or dismissed it, it's just so weird. And the thing that I think that bothers me the most is that I'm okay with you being open and transparent, but that is before shit happens.
Right.
Not when we're in the middle of this, because I remember people being like, "Oh yeah, eventually." But I kept going on to like Reddit, and people were like, and it's suspicious that they haven't even like brought up a showcase or anything to kind of detail what was going on, because I think they had like the new Overwatch season, and everyone expected that you were going to get a new character, possibly a new map, and then they were going to talk about PV, but PV was absent. And every time the devs got asked about it, it just felt like they were like, it's coming. It's going to be there, guys. And now we have confirmation that YouTube video that it's not. And I don't think Blizzard understands just how pissed off the community is. I've seen TikToks of people just like going the fuck off, major content creators. Like, if you want to kill the momentum of your game, and I don't really think the game had much momentum to begin with, because people were suspicious and had their doubts from the start, you're now killing it. Like, I just don't understand. I've seen people being like, "Yo, refund me right now. Refund me for my battle pass stuff." Like, what do you think they're gonna do to make it up to players, man? Be like, "And we know you're mad about PV, but we have this seasonal Halloween mode that's going
Listen,
on."
they're going to be like, listen, we're going to make all of the PVE content free to play, right?
Yeah,
That's what they're going to do. Not, they're going to try to spin it in a way that's like, well, it's already free. Like, what? I don't
yeah.
understand
But
what's the actual benefit here. Um, what they do, I'm pretty sure they go and they, um, I don't know, they do like a
they
not
give
sponsorship.
they give you like
They do like a they just do a crossover
we'll give you a
with
couple
like
skins and a pat on the back for a good job. I'm telling you, man. Like, this is
XP booster.
oh god,
Bonus
dude.
XP.
Something stupid. Like, we'll gift everyone the battle pass. Like, dude, there's already a free battle pass. Like, are you gifting me the premium one? How many levels are you gonna gift me? Like, they've already made so many decisions with this game that feel like we're just lazy. I mean, I've seen that the MMR, like the ranked mode, has been just a fucking mess, especially when you're trying to do your placement matches. You have people sweating in casual. I mean, I really, it's one of the things of like, you can't necessarily punish a free to play game unless you legitimately just leave it. And I wonder how this is going to affect the prospects of Overwatch 2 moving forward. Because there has to be some type of like real consequence to this. There's got to be some major ramifications because I just can't see Blizzard walking away unscathed. They're already getting fucking destroyed for this.
I hope Microsoft says no. We're not buying you anymore. They're like, you ruined this game for us, for everyone.
Yeah, I just don't understand how at some point in time, or at least why you didn't mention it earlier. These
Well,
decisions have to be made well before
it's
they're announced.
yeah, it's like we've talked about transparency and like having communication, but it's like cool you communicated it when it happened. Like
Yeah.
that's
This is
there.
I don't want to hear about that shit when it's happening, bro. You because you knew. If someone
Right.
if during that development process of the PV mode, if all that footage you were putting out, if all of it was just smoke and mirrors, this is the worst bait and switch you can do to the community, right?
Oh, and I
Because
did.
it
Oh, and oh,
no, go ahead.
sorry to cut you off, but I actually don't like the current event that's going on. Played 2 matches. It was god awful.
No, I'm
Um,
telling you, man.
the yeah,
If the intent at some point, and I'm pretty sure they had to have known where they were in regards to the PVE stuff before they actually went free to play. If the intent was to just kind of maintain the status quo and introduce new characters, maps, and do little visual touch ups and get rid of the loot boxes, if that was the entire intent, just fucking call it Overwatch. Don't call it. I would not be surprised. I just would not be shocked if they rebrand the game soon and just say it's now from Overwatch 2 to just Overwatch. I can imagine it because this is a live service title. The expectation is that this game is going to be around for a long time. Overwatch was around when did it come out? Like 2014 or some ridiculous number, and then it
sounds
eventually
about right.
it pretty much was going to hit its 10-year mark, which would obviously make it a legacy game. And then it hit
Okay.
OW2. When you don't have significant changes to the formula, and you wonder why you have not fucking had that dramatic increase in your player base, and you make a decision to take away the component that is literally going to bring more players to your game, and then you immediately pull the rug from under everyone. How the fuck do you think the community is going to respond? Do you think it's sunshine and roses? Do you think everyone's just like, oh, dude, that's a great decision? You know, I didn't want to see any of the cool skill trees that you had available. I didn't care about any of it. That's, like,
Well, yeah. So I mean, the fact that they announced the PVE content, like their whole scheme for the
that
PVE stuff in like 2019,
that was the big draw, right?
and it was and that like that's what makes Overwatch 2 different. That's what's actually going to draw someone because I'm almost positive that anyone that has played Overwatch 2 also played Overwatch,
Oh, of
right?
course.
So they're not drawing any new players just by making it free to
Yeah.
play. Anyone who was already playing it is now playing it. They're not
I
drawing
hadn't
some
played fucking Overwatch in years, but when the OW2 beta came out, I was like, "Oh, cool, man! I'll play this and get prepped up for the eventual PvE stuff." Because like I really didn't have an interest in that game. I felt like it got stale. You
right.
can like once again, you can only introduce so many characters and introduce so many levels before the game just becomes stagnant. You're going to lose balance eventually. So like the trick
Yeah.
was, let's take these characters and let's retool them. Let's update their kits. Okay, cool. Let's throw a little couple visual flares here and there. All right. And let's kind of add a new level or two. Cool. That's not going to draw an entire new player base. Just making it free. You could have made it free to play by itself, by the way, and would have brought in a whole slew of new casual players. Now, would it have been an act of sustainability? Will you actually have kept those players around? No, because anyone who's played Overwatch, who has played some of the seasonal events, the PvE stuff, they range from either really good to just mid, and you're just bored by the time you get past a couple matches, right? That PVE stuff they were showing at BlizzCon was fucking insane. Like it looked like they had an entire layout in terms of like the different campaigns you were working. And I think it was like you got to play as a, what are they called? Blackwatch 2? Is that what they're called also? The opposing group to Overwatch. You got to play as them as well. And I was like, dude, this is gonna be insane. This is gonna drag so many people, especially if it remained free to play. It was gonna bring so many people into the Overwatch community. And then just before it was supposed to happen, you say no. You're killing your own game. Like,
Excuse me.
you can't. I don't. If I see Blizzard pull some bullshit where they're like, well, I think expectations were too high. Dude, you had an entire sizzle reel to show people, and it was amazing. Expectations should be high. I don't think Blizzard makes low quality games. The majority of their games, especially their legacy titles, are fucking excellent in terms of quality. And Overwatch 2 was supposed to be the logical next step. Like, it was going to be big. And then you take away what essentially made Overwatch 2 special, and now you're probably going to pull some shit where it's like PvE will still exist, but it won't be as expansive. Like, you're of course you're going to have the seasonal grinders, the guys who want to like sweat and play hard even though the fucking MMR is all messed up. But you legitimately just killed the player base. There's no growth
The,
anymore. They can just run
yeah,
the status quo, like right now.
potential growth. Yeah.
Yeah, all that potential growth that I think a lot, because that I swear you could go into you can go to Reddit, you can go into YouTube, you can look up like Overwatch 2 PVE, and there was so much hype building around it. And you can put out any message you want as a developer, as a publisher, saying, "Hey, we're as disappointed as you are." No, you're not, because you literally introduced new monetization practices that were worse than the ones you already had in fucking place. I had to pay, how much was Overwatch before? It was like $30, I think, or like $20, $30, right? And then we had the
Like
loot boxes.
on launch or
I think
before Overwatch 2.
before Overwatch 2, I think it was like $20 $30.
Yeah.
Something small. And then you decided, hey, free to play. All right. And then you took that 6v6, made it 5v5, you have custom maps. The only way I can see Blizzard making up for this, my opinion, is that in that creative mode, right? They take the resources and the tools that they were initially going to utilize for the PV stuff, and they put them there so that people can create their own experiences. Because people are going to want to fuck around with those. And obviously, from what I've seen when I was playing Overwatch 2 with you guys, like with me, you, and Chris, there was like legitimately really fun experiences, right? Some were really basic, some were really unique, especially with the boss rush stuff. But I think that if you don't introduce those toolkits, those resource kits, man, if I am Blizzard, you are going to be needing to bury Overwatch very quickly. And I don't understand it. I mean, large content creators have just come out and flat out destroyed Blizzard for this. I still am shocked, because when I saw you tweet, I was like, Brad's upset. That's very weird. And then I saw other people I follow going like, it's just a peculiar move. My peculiar is an understatement. It's a fucking stupid move. It's not bold at all to kind of pull a bait and switch on your own community and then not expect any type of backlash.
So my my angry tweet was, is there any way to refund a free game? That was my comment.
Essentially.
I had a longer tweet before that one, but that one was more of just a disappointed tweet. That was just like, man, I really liked Overwatch, and I kind of defended Overwatch 2 when it came out.
You did.
And
You and Jack both. Well, Jack did not. Jack was really
no,
harsh
yeah,
on that game.
no. But it right, and the expectation for the PvE content was really the motivator for Overwatch 2. Like, that was what separated it from 1.0 to 2.0, is the actual new content, not the redesign, but
right?
the
Yeah,
actual
I mean, you,
added content.
like it wasn't like a jest or anything when we were saying like Overwatch 1.5. It's the truth, right? Like when you're transitioning to a new game, right? If you slap a 2 on that bad boy and you say it's a sequel, my expectation is there's going to be enough substantial changes to justify it being a sequel. Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, there were substantial changes. The Division 1, Division 2, so on and so forth. When you rolled straight into Overwatch 2, 5v5 updated kits and a battle pass. I,
Like, listen,
okay.
you don't delete the previous version if the second version's
That part right
different
there
enough.
was incredibly suspicious to me. And I think a lot of people were complaining. I think Video Game Donkey, he like went on and he has this crazy video where he just destroys Overwatch. And a lot of people, a lot of fans of OW were just like, you're being a little bit too harsh and stuff like that. And I'm like, is he? I was like, he's not really. I mean, as you know, it's once again, it's free. So the complaint is that your complaints are probably going to get washed over with the fact that you don't ever have to play it and you're not paying for the game. The thing is, for those legacy players, people who've been sticking with this game for 10 years or around 10 years, you're sitting there scratching your head going, so they duped us. And then you're introducing these new characters and that's it. There's no incentive anymore, right? I can't for the life of me find someone trying to defend this game, and I've been scrolling and it's been fucking hilarious because people are just trashing it. But I don't think you can defend it. And you're right. When they were talking about like when you see these 5-minute shorts, dude, the lore in this game is insane. It's interesting because every character has these unique videos, introductions to them. They do this great job in terms of world building. And you're thinking to yourself, imagine if they had a campaign mode. And when they showed the footage of BlizzCon, you didn't have to imagine anymore, right? All you had to do was wait. All Blizzard had to do was just put the content out. Listen, if you wanted to do a delay rollout, like we'll do like seasonal content for the PvE stuff, but we'll have a dedicated PvE mode. So for that season, you had these levels to play, and then you kind of piecemealed it to it. I think people would be frustrated at the fact that it's not a complete campaign, but I think people would understand. I think people would be okay with it because they know that there's going to be new content. If you're going to fucking tell me that the developers at Overwatch cannot split themselves into two teams, one for PvE content and one for PvP content, fire your fucking project manager. Fire anybody who makes
Right.
fucking decisions at that company.
Right. So it's not. I don't think it's a manpower issue or a talent issue. I think it's a cost to revenue gain. Right. It's like they can
Bro,
sell battle passes.
they were going to they could fucking make a PvE battle pass separate from the fucking, from the multiplayer.
They could.
You know what I
Could.
mean? Like, I think when you have like the special events in Apex Legends, they have like their own battle pass. Who says you can't fucking do that? Like, what you think you're what was removing the PV content supposed to be like this like morally just move? Like, we don't want to charge people for our game.
Well, no, no.
Shut
So
the
yeah.
fuck
So
up. You guys
they
charge
can.
for a mobile game.
Right. They can monetize it, but it's the level of effort, the level which I mean they've had 4 years to do it before the release of the game, and then 7 months after the release of the game to get it done. But I think it's just the actual investment that they have to do to not just rebalance the thing that's already done, right? Like they don't have to create a
Yeah,
character
yeah,
and
but
push it out for
yeah,
that
but you
content.
don't. But even with that, like, you've been working on it for possibly longer than 4 years. When they were showing the concept stuff for BlizzCon, I mean
Well,
that.
sorry,
y-
announced it since
Yeah, yeah.
the announcement.
God, this could have been in development since like 2017. So if you're gonna tell me you've had almost 7 years to work on this stuff and you don't have it down pat, like it really is a confusing decision and one that should absolutely upset everyone. I don't think usually I'm like, we should give developers some slack. And I'm usually like, hey, you know what? Maybe it is difficult. But at the same token, the fact that you cut it and then you cut it just before it was supposed to actually roll out is stupid. It like I could make an entire video about the bad decisions made by AAA developers, and that list would be brutal. And then people would still blindly support them, right? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I know that Blizzard doesn't necessarily have the best reputation. I don't think they've been great over the years. But Overwatch was like, did you really have to like put up this entire like wall? Did you really have to have this entire show? Now you have to question the legitimacy of the footage. Could you imagine you put in all this hard work to build OW2, the PvE stuff? You like fleshed all that stuff out. Could you imagine if a report comes out from someone out there who does like some type of investigative journalism and they find out that they pretty much stopped trying to work on the PvE in like 2021? They just didn't know how to announce it, and then when the beta came rolling on, like, bro, we still haven't talked about this in the roadmap, but we're gonna keep pushing it, you know, because when we played the Halloween special event, I was like, man, I'd really love for them to kind of put in some of the things that they were working on with the new PV campaign. That'd be kind of cool. Like, they could have easily at any point in time before the rollout told people it's not coming anymore. I feel like holding on, it's not an intelligent move. Like, who the fuck is making decisions over there? Who's the team lead? Like, that person really has to go, because you can't just expect. There's gonna be someone who's gonna take the fall for this, man. There's got to be, right? Someone's gonna get blasted. It's so stupid. I I didn't like get frustrated about it when I first thought about it until I saw your tweet, and I was like, that's kind of dumb. And then I started to think about it, and I saw people like posting about it, and they're like, what's the point of playing Overwatch 2 now? And then you brought up the fact that they like literally archived Overwatch, and you're like, I'm just
What if I don't like the changes that Overwatch 2 brought?
that's
What if
correct,
I want to play?
right?
What if I want to
No, no,
play?
no. Hey, first off, you're gonna have to pay for the original Overwatch. I'll charge you
All right.
$20 over Overwatch Legacy.
I bought it 10 years ago, so I'm good. I'm good to go.
That's what you think? You don't know. I mean, you rented the license out, and then they fucking removed the game completely. That's the beauty of DRM. You don't necessarily own any of this stuff. It's just whenever they decide to take it off the server. I just want to know what, if it was money, if it was development costs. I don't believe that, right? Because Activision Blizzard is massive. There's got to be.
Well, so I am trying to justify it. I'm trying to give the team themselves. Definitely not the executives. Definitely not the people that
Not Bobby
make the
Kotick,
big.
that prick.
Yeah, no. Like I'm trying to think of. I'm pretty sure there are some devs out there that have been working the last 6 years on this content. I'm pretty sure there was one person that built all these skill trees out,
Oh
right? They
man.
literally put the last little icon on the top of the tree for your ultimate ability, and then they canceled it. And that dude is probably on suicide watch right now, and I feel bad for that guy. But I'm trying to think of something that you know I don't know if it's just
Blizzard needs
yeah,
to be careful.
yeah.
They really do. There are individuals who are going to probably take this personally and will do whatever it takes to determine as to why they ultimately decided to cut the content that everyone was anticipating. Because I mean, it's already been proven that when a game has pretty much has regressed in regards to its player count, right? To the players who are hardcore players, that going free to play is an instant boost to your player base. And sometimes you're going to capture a new audience. It's always going to be, you're always looking for that 10%. So if you have 15 or you have, a million new players, you want that 100,000, you know what I'm saying? So maybe that could have happened. But the fact that everybody was anticipating that Overwatch 2 was going to have a PvE campaign, new skill trees, just an overall fresh experience. You took that away, and now I don't think you understand just how damaging this could be. Like, the lack of transparency about it is frustrating. You had to have known. Someone more than likely sat in a meeting and went, where are we with the PvE stuff? And if someone was like, well, we don't think we're going to satisfactorily meet the expectations that we set forth, that decision's got to be made prior to launch. Essentially, what you're playing right now is Overwatch 2 free to play. It's in early access, essentially, because they're always going to constantly make tweaks to the game. That's the purpose of a live service game. I don't think you can introduce, you know, I don't think people are going to be okay with just PvP stuff because the expectation of PvE was there. Like, you could say right fucking now, we're going to add a new battle royale mode to Overwatch. That may drag people over, I don't know, or it may dissuade your player base from playing the game. Like, you have to, like, this is, obviously this is a game that has its own pro league. This is a game, but even some of the pro players were anticipating the PvE stuff. Like, that grind kills you, and essentially you want something else, but the entire game is centered around that PvP experience, but you're limited to 5v5, and you still haven't ironed out any of the fucking issues you had with Overwatch, and you had those issues for years. So just because you removed a character, right, from the fucking 6v6 and made a 5v5 lineup doesn't mean you fixed anything. You didn't fix shit. So now you have to, like, contend with a fan base that is furious at the fact that you bait and switched them at the fucking wrong time, too. A lot of AAA publishers are under fire for putting out games that are not optimized. A lot of, like, free to play games have been blasted for the monetization practices, Blizzard being one of them. When Overwatch 2 got announced and was, we were prepping for the multiplayer release, a lot of people were hyped up because that the eventuality of a PvE mode was going to arise. And then it never, and now we're like sitting there like, it's never coming. You'll never play again. You know?
Yeah, it, the actual balls. I think the actual balls to. I think it's different for a feature, right? I think some people expect it to be like a feature of the game that they promised and they're now going away with it. I don't think it in that aspect. I think of it as a game, like they're developing a game, right? And I would say this is the early access mode, right? The early access or the beta, alpha, whatever.
Mm.
They release the game. They allow you to play a portion of the content of the game, and they go, "Oh, we're actually canceling the game that's already came out."
That,
I mean, that's
essentially, that is correct. Wow, that's actually really good. Holy shit, that's
yeah.
brutal too. You
They're like, listen, I know you're paying for this free to play game, and you're actually
oh,
enjoying some of it, but we're just going to not continue developing the things that we said we already developing for this. We're
god
just going to
damn, that's
stop.
fucking great. I like that. That's fucking brutal. You literally canceled the game you were supposed to make. Is that a
As
first?
you're
Is that
as you're actively playing it, they're
as
like,
you're
we're canceling the game. As you play it, we are canceling the game.
is that a first? Is this the first time we've ever had a developer actively cancel a game they worked on? Like,
After launch.
yeah, Overwatch. Like, listen, I and I mean this, man. I'm telling you, I can see it. I can see them rebranding to Overwatch 1 or just Overwatch. There's no point to put a fucking 2 on this game anymore.
It's not Overwatch anymore. It's underwashed to
It's
death. That's what
it's
it is.
it's over promised and under delivered. It's what it is. You cannot. I keep telling, man, I don't want to know why developers keep shooting themselves in the fucking foot. You get told fucking constantly. You get told constantly. You need to be transparent and honest. You cannot hide. Social media and this information sharing age we live in prevents you from hiding. I am going to know about everything you fuck up on. Within like a week, someone will have like an inside report. Someone like, could you imagine like one of the developers who was running PvE just straight up leaves? I think the lead director for Overwatch 2 left. If that person ever has like a tell-all, it would be devastating because you know his number is just ringing off the hook right now. Like, bro, why did the PvE mode not get released? Who's this? Who is that person making that decision? Because you're gonna want to find someone to punish. That's the honest truth about it. The honest truth is someone's gonna get scapegoated. And if Blizzard has the audacity to point the finger at the fans, saying their expectations were too high because CD Projekt Red did that shit with Cyberpunk 2077, and that did not go over well. Do not, do not point fingers, Blizzard, because you are going to receive so much fucking hate throughout the year. It's just what it is. Like, if you want to, like, to me, when you have an IP as quality as Overwatch, when you have something that's easily and instantly recognizable like that game, don't you want to take it to new heights? Like, you announced Overwatch 2. We all expected something different. What you gave us was the same, and then like you brought up, you fucking canceled the game. That is the I'm gonna post that shit on TikTok, man. That is the best thing I've ever heard. That is so fucking brutal. And I just have to know. I may have to look this up. Have developers done this before? Like not only we're not talking about like an alpha or a beta. We're moving a feature. We're talking about that was a core fucking feature of the game. That was like something that that's an actual mode that everyone expected. Unless unless there's somewhere out there where Blizzard just straight up said, yeah, we're not doing that. Like, we were never going to have PvE be its own thing. Like, you're full of shit. Why would you have skill trees for every fucking character? Why would you have campaigns for those characters to work on? Like Jesus Christ. Like, what are you guys going to do? Like, announce, like, look, we're going to assuage everyone's concerns here. We're going to put out an Overwatch movie. Like, or TV series or some shit. Like, fuck that. Just give us the game you guys promised to us instead of killing it before it even got to fucking reach us. Oh, man. So are you saying we're victims, Brad? Is that what this is? The Overwatch community are victims because they pretty much didn't get to play Overwatch 2?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, man.
it's a sad day when
Oh.
you buy these free to play games, and
Yeah, if I ever hear someone say, "Well, you don't really buy them," like, dude, most people are buying the battle pass. People are buying skins. There are people who obsess over that stuff.
The so when you're selling a game without microtransactions, right? There's a cap to how much money you can make per person, right? Yeah. When you say it's free to play, but you're able to spend 10,000, the fact that one person will probably spend $1,000
or has
is much more valuable than everyone paying $60.
Exactly.
Right. That it only takes about 2% of the gamer population.
It's a constant stream of revenue. And that revenue, right, will help with development costs. But here's the deal. Like, we already know that it's more than likely a fact that Overwatch 2 was profitable, right? It brought back a like humongous surge, right, of players. And I assume people like bought into the battle pass because they wanted to play Kimiko. They wanted all these new skins. And it was like, was it fresh and new Overwatch? No. It was the same fucking Overwatch, just 5v5. You know what I mean? You still had almost all the same game modes. You had characters with different kits, but you literally got used to those kits. And this is the thing, this is the kind of the downside of like competitive games. You get used to those kits in a relative short time. It doesn't take too long. And in a short few matches, you're going to know everything there is to know about a character. Now, experimentation begins afterwards, but just like you get familiar very quickly. It's just the fact that Blizzard had an opportunity and they fumbled the bag. Like even if they were like, look, PV stuff was going to be seasonal. It's going to cost you $20, per whatever fucking however they break out the PvE seasons, right? There would be some questions about that, but like if I got the same thing like Destiny 2 where I got to choose which PvE season I wanted to play or some shit, I think people would find that acceptable because there's going to be content that's going to be better or more better of a better quality than others. But like to say that to just lose out on all that money, to lose out on all that perspective growth just to kill your own fucking momentum. Like that's insane. They literally they shot themselves in the foot. There's that what's that meme with Eric Andre? He shoots Hannibal Buress and he's like,
Yeah.
"Who did this to fucking Overwatch?" It's like Blizzard, you did. You got the gun. Like, no, like what do you mean?
We didn't really mean PvE content. We meant seasonal
We meant seasonal
cooperative
content, guys. You're gonna fight
things
robots
to do.
It's like Jesus Christ. I mean, look, like I said, I gave Ubisoft shit for Extraction. I just felt like they rushed that. It shouldn't have been a full price game. Then they kept cutting the price because they knew that the sales expectations were or sales projections were probably low. And then they were just like, yeah. So I mean, but they tried, they did, and that's cool. Like, if you wanted to have a free to play game,
at least it was different.
Yeah,
at least it wasn't.
If you want to have a free to play game, and then you want to put in, a separate PvE mode. I mean, fuck, Fortnite still carries. Was it Save the World? Like, don't tell me you can't, man. Like there's no way that because of how short I think the Overwatch seasons are that you can keep all these people entertained with all these new characters. Like you only get because you have people bitching all the time when a new character gets released. You have people who quit the fucking game because of a new character.
What's the main competitor for Overwatch? What's the
any first person shooter, Siege, Call of Duty, all that stuff.
I want to see everyone just start playing Siege again for some reason. I want everyone to. I want there's some to be some big streamer and he's like, I'm done with Overwatch. I want him to pull in Asmongold. Say, I'm done with WoW. I'm going to Final Fantasy.
People smart move, shit by the way. On fucking Call of Duty, but at least they try. They're the same fucking publisher, and they will try more with that fucking IP than they will with one of Blizzard's flagships.
No one cares about the single player mode in Call of Duty, and they brought it out first.
Yeah, and they still brought that shit out, right? Like, for fuck's sakes, you can still have a campaign mode Overwatch. No one's going to blame you. Like, dude, I didn't like Halo Infinite's campaign, right? I thought it was okay. I thought it missed co-op. I thought it was a co-op campaign that should have, for whatever reason, they decided not to fucking do it because 343 is a fucking mess. But, dude, at least they were like, multiplayer, let's incentivize people to get back into Halo, and here's the campaign with how Mass Chief's been doing so far. Awesome. Thumbs the fuck up. Overwatch. You literally showed us. It was the biggest cock tease ever. We're like, oh my God. Fucking this looks really cool. And because people had trust in the developers, they were like, yes, here we go. And what does Blizzard do? No. You can't kill me. I'm gonna kill me. And then they shot themselves in the fucking face. Like, the stupidity of it is mind-boggling. Because, dude, there's no way you can sit there and think, dude, there's no executive right now that is worth their salt who is sitting there saying that less players is a good thing. It's a free-to-play fucking title. If you brought that Overwatch 2, you remember the banner and you put out PvE, and people are like, oh shit, there's a real campaign coming, you are going to see a slew of people who don't want to play competitive multiplayer, who just want to do co-op PvE with their friends or with randoms, who are going to have a good time because they don't have to sweat in these fucking lobbies. And you took that away. You took that prospect away for God knows why, because you're fucking stupid. That's essentially what it boils down to. And now you have someone like Brad who literally jokes almost all fucking podcasts. is never on camera, shows up on camera, and is absolutely actually mad about this shit. It blows my mind. I don't see it. I like this is effectively how you kill your game. If that was Blizzard's intent the entire time was like to never really release Overwatch 2, then fucking don't do it. You know?
Yeah. So I'm sorry if I spaced out there for a few minutes during this podcast. I've been reading tweets by one of the producer, the Jared Noose, I guess his name. Oh really at Oh really Jared, and one of his posts. Where was it? I want to acknowledge that today has been a challenging day for many of us in the Overwatch community, players and developers alike. We understand that today's news about the scope of PvE is frustrating. We on the Overwatch leadership team did not make this decision lightly. We love the world of Overwatch and have many new stories to tell. Moving in this direction gives us the confidence that we can tell those stories, albeit in a different way that we originally communicated.
What is
See, you're like way past communicated. You're like, hey, listen, we have this game. All right, we have this game. Here's a bunch of not even slideshows, like actual things. We're showing you things that this game's going to have. You release the game, and then you're like, oh yeah, actually, all those things you said, not really.
Yeah. Hey, just kidding. Jokesies. No takebacks though. You guys already fucking paid us in skins and shit. Oh my god.
This actually might be the
He already fucking they already have videos of the characters, right? Their introductions. Like, dude, the best way to tell this game is to fucking have PvE modes. Or unless you are willing to break Overwatch right now and move past this 5v5 shit and have like immersive multiplayer moments. You know what I'm talking about? Like Battlefield-esque type shit. I don't think you're gonna do it. Like you'd have to the amount of work you'd have to do to introduce a brand new multiplayer mode that are like massive battles that like tell stories. I mean, you could do that, but it doesn't supplant the fact that those stories will more than likely be the same. Like, oh, you can only pick these 6 heroes, and then you'll fight against these 6, and then we'll do PvP, PvE. It's like that's great, but wouldn't it have been easier to just kind of do the PvE stuff the same way with the same type of narrative stuff? Like you guys are already working on it. Why would you scrap it to do something that seems a little bit more complex for you? Just say it was too fucking hard for you, dude. And the fact that you're right. Yeah, we've been communicating. No, you fucking haven't. You literally pulled it from everyone's under the rug for everyone yesterday on May 16th. The fuck is up with you guys? Ah,
So apparently they're going to talk about it in the next director's take blog. This might be the first time I'm ever interested in listening to a dev blog, just to see
they better be
what
careful.
kind of shenanigans they just. I'm just curious about what shenanigans they're just going to say about it.
They better be careful, man, because that is probably going to. I feel like the news of the we'll talk about removing like lessening the scope of the PvE stuff. I feel like that news was a stab for a lot. Was a shot to the in the heart for a lot of people, and then you didn't even have the ball. Like you're doing all this stuff after the fact, this PR shit after the fact. You don't have to do that to yourself. You do not, developers. If anyone watches this, you do not have to shoot yourself in the fucking foot all of the time. Just to be honest and open. Just say, because you knew the community was not going to take this news well, especially, and you know what? It would be even more fucked up if they made this decision prior to the release of the multiplayer and decided to withhold it because they knew that it would affect their player base. Don't like if they mention if you're doing a developer blog, here's the thing. If I'm Blizzard, if I'm Overwatch, if I'm that team, you hold this shit on Twitch and you answer fucking questions and you don't filter questions either. You let people ask the fucking questions and you provide the answers and you do not hide.
And then you can donate $2 to shock the crap out of any person that you don't like their answer.
Yeah.
Right.
That seems like a corporate answer. Go fuck yourself. It's very, I'm telling you, this
and that's how they fund the PvE. That's how they do it. That's how they're like, listen, this is the additional funds we need.
when you have like I've told people before, prepared responses are probably the worst. They're probably the worst thing that you can do when you have made a decision that greatly affects a group of people. When you make a decision like that, and let's say we didn't take it lightly, but you made the decision to like announce it just randomly when people are in the middle of playing your fucking game just before its year anniversary, it's a very questionable tactic. And if you're not if you're doing a prepared response, which I assume this is what it's going to be, and you're not going to fucking like yield any questions, what do you like? Then all of that is just hot air. You're just talking. Like there's a benefit of the doubt you can give them, but Blizzard has a history of being one of the worst at transparency. So there's a lot, it would be fucking stupid if when you watch it and you let me know. When are they holding that, by the way?
I don't. It says on Friday.
On
I don't know where
Friday.
it's at. I don't know how to do it. I don't know where it's at. I don't know where this thing is being hosted.
Oh,
I'm gonna find it.
Probably a YouTuber or Twitch. I'm telling you, man, it's not going to be. It's to their benefit. Like it would be to their benefit to hold a Q&A with the community, answer questions, do an AMA, whatever. But the fact that you announced it in a fucking random post on a Tuesday, bro. It's just it's not what good companies do. It's not what good organizations do.
It's actually really weird because it wasn't even that. It was like a, hey, this is the roadmap for what's coming up next, and there's like they just slipped it right in the middle. Like this is one of the biggest things you've ever done, and you're just like, oh, it's just part of the roadmap. The fact that we're scrapping this is just part of how the game lives.
It feels disingenuous when anyone has to put a statement out after the fact to be like, because I don't think they expected people to have that reaction, but the reality of it was, of course they were going to. Of course they were going to be upset. Because then it's not fucking Overwatch 2 anymore. It's just Overwatch. You know? It's what it is. They need to, I'm telling you, this could be very harmful. This whole developer blog or whatever they're going to be doing, it could be very harmful, and especially to this over. Gotta be careful. I'm telling you, man, it's so fucking stupid. I'm so frustrated like this. I can't believe you'd say that. I can't believe they said that, dude. I can't believe they thought that was a good idea. Yeah, we just want to talk about our communication. You didn't communicate it. Like, dude, you've probably known for some time. Because then the questions is like, if they're vague in any of their responses, people are going to ask, like, so when was the decision actually made? Why was the decision actually made? And if they say any fucking thing like, well, it didn't meet our expectations or our fan expectations, well, then shouldn't we know prior to release? You would have that down pat. Like, what do you mean you were focused completely on the multiplayer aspect? You weren't doing too much to change the fucking multiplayer in the beginning. You know what I mean? Every criticism that has been levied at Overwatch 2 has been warranted. And now you give people even more reason to dislike the actions and activities of the developers. Like whatever, like, and this kills a lot of goodwill. I just don't understand why devs do this. They shoot themselves in the foot. They have like that prepared response, and then they hold like that video. Like I remember when they did it with Cyberpunk 2077, and I felt like that was the most disingenuous video I've ever seen. It's like, dude, you guys don't even have the balls to have like an open Q&A. You're essentially just trying to apologize for the fact that you tried to sweep shit under the rug, like you said, in the middle of a fucking roadmap posting, and then be like, well, boys, day's work, we're moving on. Can't do that. Can't do that. Oh, I think we've ranted enough. I think, yeah. God, man, Jack would have ate this shit up.
I'm sure he would have just been.
I was messaging Mikey from the Retrograde podcast, and he's a humongous Overwatch fan. He's like, man, Blizzard just knows how to kill one of the games I love just by being them, just by making simple decisions, or decisions without the input of their fan base. It's that old thing where it's like, I know what's good for you. You don't know what's good for you. I hope they have something.
Do what I tell you.
I hope they have something big planned. I mean, they'd have to, right, to supplant the PvE mode. Like I said, you can do a mix of PvP, PvE. That would be, I guess, acceptable.
Doing a tactics game. That's what they're doing. They're scrapping the PvE to do a tactics game.
Now they're doing a tactics mobile game. It'll also be free to play. Overwatch 2 is now a mobile title. Oh my god, I'd fucking lose it. All right, we don't need closing thoughts for this shit.
You know my closing thoughts.
Yeah, I do. You're pretty pissed off. So that's gonna do it for this show. Jack and Chibi will be back next time. I guess we don't. Oh wait, Jack was fired. So we're looking for a new fourth on Pixelated Thoughts. So if you'd like to
Jack will
join
be back in spirit.
in spirit mostly. If you fucking stupid. Shit, I forgot. Oh yeah, if you like this content, please consider sharing, and subscribing. Check us out on YouTube or check us out on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Brad will eventually start streaming again. I am Ken. That is Brad from Pixelated Thoughts, and we will talk to everyone next time. You have a good one, everyone. Except for you, Overwatch.